The transport ship landed on Nakri 7 with a violent shudder that rattled Taman's teeth. He pressed his forehead against the cold window and stared at the rust-colored landscape below. Mountains rose like broken teeth against a purple sky. This was the edge of human space where people came to forget or be forgotten. Taman wanted both. 6 months ago, he had been part of a 5-person research team studying alien ruins on Kepler 442b. They had found something important, something that could have changed everything humanity knew about the ancient civilizations. Then the explosion happened. Corporate sabotage, the investigator said. A rival company didn't want them to publish their findings first. 4 people died. Only Taman survived because he had been outside the research station, taking soil samples. He should have died with them. That's what the dreams told him every night. The other passengers avoided looking at him during the flight. They knew his face from the news broadcasts. The lucky survivor. The man who lived while his friends burned. He had stopped trying to explain that luck felt more like a curse. The spaceport on Nakri 7 was small and dirty. Taman collected his 2 bags of equipment and walked through the arrival gate. No one waited for him. He had made sure of that. This assignment was supposed to be punishment, a way for the university to keep him employed without actually giving him anything important to do. Study some old ruins that a dozen other archaeologists had already dismissed as worthless. File a report. Collect a paycheck. Try not to think about the past. Taman caught a ground transport to the research outpost on the edge of the territorial zone. The driver was a young woman with bright orange hair and suspicious eyes. She kept glancing at him in the mirror. "You're the new researcher," she said. It wasn't a question. "Yes. The ruins you're studying? The ones in the canyon system." "That's right." She was quiet for a moment, then said, "The locals call that place the Forbidden Reach. Nobody goes there." "Why not?" The Virath Consortium put out a notice 20 years ago. Geological instability, dangerous caves. Stay away or face consequences. She said the words like she was reciting from memory, but that's not the real reason. Taman felt a flicker of interest, the first he had felt in months. What's the real reason? People who go there see things. Lights in the caves. Hear sounds that don't make sense. Old Taiyo. He runs the supply depot. He says his grandfather was here when the first colonists arrived. They found symbols carved into the rocks near the canyon, symbols that matched nothing in any database. The Virath showed up 2 weeks later and declared the whole area off limits. Did anyone study the symbols before the Virath arrived? If they did, they never published anything. Or they disappeared. Take your pick. The research outpost was a cluster of prefabricated buildings connected by covered walkways. Taman's quarters were small but clean. He unpacked his equipment and tried to sleep. The dreams came anyway. Fire and screaming and the sound of metal tearing. He woke up at dawn with his sheets soaked in sweat. For 3 days, he mapped the canyon system using satellite data and drone surveys. The geological surveys were wrong. The caves weren't unstable. In fact, they were remarkably well preserved. And there was something else. His equipment kept picking up strange energy readings from deep inside the cave network. Low-level radiation that didn't match any known natural source. On the 4th day, Taman stood at the entrance to the forbidden caves. The opening was narrow, barely wide enough for a person to squeeze through. The rock around it was covered in symbols, just like the driver had said. He ran his scanner over them and felt his heart skip. The symbols were old, incredibly old. Older than humanity's first steps into space. Older than the Virath Consortium. Older than any civilization currently known to exist in the galaxy. They weren't from any language in his database, but they had structure, grammar, meaning. He should have reported this immediately, should have called for a full research team, should have followed protocol. Instead, Taman checked his equipment, activated his helmet light and stepped into the cave. The passage was tight at first. He had to turn sideways in places, his breathing loud inside his helmet. But after 30 meters, the tunnel opened into a larger chamber. His light swept across walls that had been carved smooth. More symbols covered every surface, flowing in patterns that seemed almost musical. He touched the wall and jerked his hand back. The stone was warm. No, not warm. It was vibrating with some kind of energy that he could feel through his glove. Deeper. He needed to go deeper. The cave system was vast. Chambers connected to chambers, tunnels branched and merged. Taman marked his path carefully. leaving electronic beacons every 50 meters. He didn't want to get lost down here, but he also couldn't stop. The energy readings were getting stronger. Something was pulling him forward. Hours passed. His suit's air supply warning chimed, telling him he had 3 hours left before he needed to return to the surface. He ignored it and kept walking. Then he found the stairs. They were carved from the living rock, descending into darkness so deep his light couldn't penetrate it. Each step was perfectly smooth, worn by the passage of countless feet over unimaginable ages. Taman stood at the top and realized he was shaking. This was insane. He was alone, deep underground in a cave system the Vyrath had forbidden anyone from entering. If something happened, no one would find him. He would die down here just like his team had died in that explosion, alone and forgotten. But maybe that was what he deserved. Taman started down the stairs. He counted 317 steps before he reached the bottom. The chamber that opened before him was so large his light couldn't find the walls. The ceiling disappeared into shadows high above, and in the center of the chamber, suspended in the air by some invisible force, was a structure of crystal that glowed with its own light. Taman walked toward it like a man in a dream. The crystal was massive, easily 20 meters tall. The light inside it pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. He could see something inside. Something huge. His hands moved without conscious thought, pulling out his scanner and activating it. The readings were impossible. The energy signature was off every scale. This wasn't technology. It wasn't natural. It was something else entirely. The scanner beeped. A harmless sound. A normal sound. The crystal cracked. Taman stumbled backward as light poured from the growing fracture. Not normal light. This was the light of stars, of nebulas, of the very fabric of space itself. The crack spread, racing across the crystal's surface in a web of brilliant lines. He ran. His legs pumped, his breath came in ragged gasps, his mind screamed at him to move faster. But the light was faster. It filled the chamber. It filled his vision. It filled his mind. Something immense stirred inside the crystal. Something that had been sleeping for longer than human civilization had existed. And Taman's foolish, reckless, desperate action had woken it up. The last thing he thought before consciousness left him was simple and clear. I've killed us all. Pain was the first thing Taman felt. Not physical pain, but something deeper. Something that existed in a place he hadn't known was real until now. His mind was on fire with sensation, with information, with the weight of something ancient and vast pressing against his consciousness. He opened his eyes and immediately wished he hadn't. The crystal was gone, shattered into a million pieces that floated in the air like frozen rain. And standing in the space where the crystal had been was a creature that made no sense. It looked like a dragon from old Earth myths, but that description was too simple. Its body was easily 15 meters long, covered in scales that weren't really scales. They were made of light, of captured starlight that shifted through every color Taman had ever seen, and some he had no names for. Wings that seemed to be made of solidified space itself folded against its sides. Its eyes were twin galaxies, spinning and ancient and aware. Those eyes looked at him. The voice that entered his mind wasn't a voice. It was more like a mountain falling directly onto his thoughts. You woke me. Taman tried to speak and found he couldn't. His mouth wouldn't work. His body wouldn't respond to any command. Do not fear. You are not harmed. Your mind is simply adjusting to my presence. It will pass. Slowly, feeling returned to Taman's limbs. He pushed himself to his knees, then to his feet. His legs shook but held. What are you? I am Hanul. I am the last of the star dragons. And you, small one, have done something incredibly foolish. I didn't mean to wake you. I was just scanning. I know what you were doing. I know everything you are thinking. We are connected now. Your mind and mine are tangled together like vines growing from the same root. The dragon's massive head tilted, studying him. This was not supposed to happen. The awakening mechanism was designed to respond only to my own kind, but you are not entirely like others of your species, are you? Taman's mind raced. He could feel it now, the connection. It was like having another person living inside his skull. He could sense Hanul's thoughts, vast and strange and terrifyingly powerful. And worse, he realized the dragon could sense his thoughts too. Every memory, every fear, every moment of shame and guilt. You carry great pain, Haniul said softly. The death of your companions weighs on you like chains. Stay out of my head. I cannot. And you cannot leave mine. We are bound now. This bond was meant to connect me with another star dragon when I woke. Instead, I am connected to a human who reeks of guilt and wishes he were dead. The dragon's words hit like a physical blow. Taman staggered. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I have lived for 3 million years. I have seen species rise and fall. I have watched civilizations birth themselves in fire and collapse into silence. Your pain is not unique, human. It is simply new to you. Something inside Taman snapped. Then why don't you just kill me? End it. I'm sure a creature like you could do it easily. Haniul was quiet for a long moment. When the dragon spoke again, the voice in his mind was gentler. Because I am tired of death. I have seen enough of it to last 100 lifetimes. Sit down, Taman. Let me show you why I am here. How do you know my name? I told you. We are connected. I know everything about you. Now sit before you fall down. What I am about to share will be difficult. Taman sat. He didn't have much choice. His legs were giving out anyway. The memories hit him like a tidal wave. He saw the galaxy as it had been millions of years ago, young and wild and full of species just beginning to reach for the stars. And he saw the star dragons, dozens of them flying between worlds. They were shepherds, teachers, and judges. When a young civilization needed guidance, the star dragons provided it. When a species developed technology that could harm others, the star dragons intervened. They maintained balance, they kept peace, but they were also feared. Because the star dragons had ultimate authority. If a species became too dangerous, too violent, too destructive, the dragons could limit their expansion. Or worse, they could sterilize entire worlds, wiping civilizations from existence to protect the greater galactic community. Then came the Vyrath, a species that grew quickly, expanded aggressively, and refused to accept star dragon authority. They developed weapons. They planned, and one by one, they hunted the star dragons. The war lasted 1,000 years. In the end, the Vyrath won not through strength but through treachery. They created prisons of crystal and energy, traps that could contain even a star dragon's power. They hunted down every dragon they could find. Most were killed. A few were imprisoned. Haniul was the last. They put me here, the dragon said. On this worthless rock at the edge of nowhere. They left me sleeping, dreaming, trapped in crystal while the galaxy moved on without us, and then you stumbled into my prison and broke me free. Taman's head was spinning. How long? 2 million years, give or take a few centuries. The Vyrath Consortium, they're still here. They're one of the most powerful governments in known space. Yes, I can feel their presence. They have grown strong in my absence. They have spread across hundreds of worlds, and now that I am awake, they will do everything in their power to destroy me before I can challenge their rule. Challenge them? You're one dragon. They have fleets, armies, weapons that can crack planets. Haniul's laughter was like thunder in his mind. You understand nothing, small one. I am not merely a creature. I am a force of nature. I am the embodied will of cosmic law. One star dragon is worth 1,000 fleets. The dragon's wings unfurled slightly and the air in the chamber crackled with energy. But I am weak. The long sleep has drained me. I need time to recover my strength. Then we need to leave. Now, if the Vyrath detected your awakening, they did. I can feel their sensors turning toward this world even now. They will send ships, soldiers. They will try to finish what they started 2 million years ago. Taman stood on shaking legs. Can you fly? Not yet. Perhaps in a few days if I can feed on stellar radiation. But there is another problem. What? Our bond. It is unstable. If we separate by more than a few kilometers, it could kill us both. The connection was never meant to form between such different minds. It is fragile. Until it stabilizes, you must stay near me. You're saying I'm stuck with you? And I with you. Believe me, human, I am no more pleased about this than you are. You are loud, emotional, and your thoughts dart around like frightened insects. But we have no choice. We must survive together or die together. Taman looked at the massive dragon, at the creature that was older than human civilization, more powerful than anything he could imagine, and completely, utterly, beyond his ability to understand. And despite everything, despite the fear and the shock and the overwhelming strangeness of it all, he felt something he hadn't felt in months. Purpose. Then we need a plan, he said. The Vyrath will be here soon. This cave system is huge. We might be able to hide you in one of the deeper chambers until you're strong enough to fight. You would help me? Even knowing that I could destroy your species as easily as breathing? Even knowing that my kind judged civilizations and found many wanting? You're not the one trying to kill me right now. The Vyrath are. That makes you the closest thing I have to an ally. Taman picked up his scanner from where it had fallen. Besides, you're stuck with me, remember? If you die, I die. So I'm motivated to keep you alive. For the first time, he felt something like amusement from the dragon. You are a strange human, Taman. Broken and reckless and far too honest for your own good. But perhaps that is exactly what I need right now. Come on, we need to move. Can you walk? I am a star dragon. I can do more than walk. But when Hanul took its first step, the dragon stumbled. Taman caught himself reaching out instinctively, as if his small human hands could steady a creature the size of a building. Hanul looked at him with those galaxy eyes, and something passed between them through their bond. Understanding. Recognition. They were both broken things trying to survive in a universe that had moved on without them. Lead the way, small one, Hanul said. Let us see if we can outrun destiny. Together, the lonely human and the last star dragon began the long climb back to the surface, with the weight of ancient history and approaching war pressing down on them like the stone above. The sky over Nakri 7 turned green 3 hours after Taman and Hanul emerged from the caves. Not a natural green. This was the color of Vyrath military ships entering atmosphere, their shields glowing as they burned through the air at speeds that should have torn them apart. Taman pressed himself against the canyon wall and watched the ships streak overhead. 6 of them. No, 8. They were heading toward the cave entrance. They will find nothing there, Hanul said in his mind. The dragon was hidden in a narrow ravine 50 meters away, its body pressed low against the ground. Even weakened, Hanul could make its scales shift to match the surrounding rock. To anyone not looking carefully, the dragon was just another boulder. But they will search. And they will find our trail eventually. How long until you can fly? 2 days. Perhaps 3. I need to absorb more solar radiation. This planet's sun is weak and distant. We don't have 3 days. Taman checked his communicator. The research outpost was trying to contact him. So was the colonial administration. So was someone claiming to be Vyrath Consortium security. He ignored them all. They'll lock down this entire sector. Ground all ships. Search every building. Then we need to hide somewhere they won't think to look. On a frontier world with maybe 10,000 people, there's nowhere like that. A new voice cut through the air, sharp and amused. Well, this is interesting. Taman spun around. A woman stood 20 meters away, one hand resting on the weapon at her hip. She wore a pilot's jacket patched together from a dozen different materials, and her black hair was pulled back in a practical braid. Her eyes were hard and calculating. Mirai, Taman said, recognizing her from the research outpost. She ran cargo between the settlements. Or at least that's what she claimed to do. Everyone knew she was a smuggler. Taman, she replied. You want to tell me why the Vyrath just showed up with a battle group? Or why they're offering a substantial reward for information about your location? She paused. Or why there's a giant dragon hiding in that ravine pretending to be a rock? Hanul's presence flared in Taman's mind. She can see me. Your camouflage isn't perfect, Mirai said, apparently able to tell when Taman was having a mental conversation. There's a heat shimmer. Also, rocks don't usually breathe. Hanul shifted, raising its massive head. The dragon's scales rippled with color as it abandoned the camouflage. You are not fleeing, why? Because I'm curious. And because the Vyrath can go to hell. Mirai walked closer, her hand never leaving her weapon. You're a star dragon. I've seen the old records. The classified ones that the Vyrath tried to erase. My father was a xenohistorian before they killed him for asking too many questions about the old civilizations. The Vyrath killed your father? Taman asked. Made it look like an accident. But I know the truth. She looked at Hanul with something like wonder in her eyes. My father spent his whole life trying to prove the star dragons were real. That the Vyrath built their empire on lies and genocide. He died thinking he'd failed. She smiled, but it was sharp and cold. Turns out he was right. You want revenge, Hanul said. I want justice. But I'll settle for revenge if that's what's on offer. Taman stepped between them. The Vyrath will kill everyone on this planet if they think it will help them find Hanul. We need to get off-world. Can't. They've already locked down all official transport. Every ship is grounded except Vyrath military. Mirai's expression shifted. But I know someone who might be able to help. Old Tejo, the supply depot manager. He's got a ship. An old cargo hauler from before the Vyrath regulated everything. It's not registered with any system. Will he help us? No, but I can steal it. I've been planning to for 2 years anyway. You just gave me a good reason to finally do it. They moved at night. Mirai led them through canyons and dry riverbeds, paths that avoided the main settlements and the Vyrath patrols. Hanul followed, moving with surprising silence for something so large. The dragon's weakness was obvious, though. Hanul had to stop and rest every hour, and each time took longer for the dragon to recover. Through their bond, Taman felt Hanul's frustration. The dragon's pride was wounded by this weakness. Star dragons were meant to be powerful, unstoppable. Instead, Hanul could barely walk a few kilometers without exhaustion. Your kind imprisoned me for 2 million years, Hanul said quietly in his mind. They stole my strength and left me to dream of nothing, and now I am reduced to fleeing like prey. It is humiliating. The Vyrath aren't my kind. They're aliens just like you. Are they? You share a galactic community with them. You trade with them. You accept their authority. From where I stand, you are far more similar to the Vyrath than you are to me. Taman didn't have an answer for that. They reached the supply depot 2 hours before dawn. It was located on the outskirts of the main settlement, a cluster of warehouses and landing pads. Mirai scouted ahead while Taman and Hanul waited in a dried-up riverbed. She came back 15 minutes later. Good news and bad news. The good news is the ship is fueled and ready. Tejo always keeps it that way in case he needs to run from the tax collectors. Bad news is there are Vyrath soldiers at the depot. 4 of them. They're searching every building. Can we wait them out? No, they'll find us before dawn. We have to move now. 4 soldiers, Hanul said. I can kill them easily. No, Taman said quickly. If you kill them, the Vyrath will know for certain you're here. Right now, they're just suspicious. Let's keep it that way. Then what do you suggest? Mirai pulled a small device from her pocket. EMP grenade. Short range but powerful. It'll knock out their armor and communications for about 3 minutes. That's our window. 3 minutes to get to the ship, start it up, and get airborne? Taman shook his head. That's not enough time. It is if I'm already in the pilot seat when the grenade goes off. You two just need to get to the ship. I'll have the engines hot and ready. They worked out the timing. Mirai would sneak to the ship first. Once she gave the signal, Taman would trigger the EMP and he and Hanul would run for it. Simple, straightforward, absolutely insane. Taman watched Mirai disappear into the shadows between the warehouses. He crouched next to Hanul and waited. His heart hammered in his chest. Through their bond, he could feel Hanul's own tension. The dragon wanted to fight. Every instinct the creature had was screaming to attack, to destroy these beings who had imprisoned its kind. Control is the hardest lesson, Hanul said softly. I have lived for millions of years and I still struggle with it. The urge to use power simply because you have it. To strike out at those who have wronged you. Your species will need to learn this lesson too if you wish to survive. Are you saying humans are too violent? I am saying all young species are violent. It is how you survive to become old species. But there comes a point where violence stops being a tool and becomes a trap. The Vyrath never learned this. They became powerful, but they also became slaves to their own fear and aggression. They could not imagine a galaxy where they were not in control. And the star dragons? You judged whole civilizations, destroyed planets. That sounds pretty violent to me. Yes, we were violent in the name of peace, and perhaps that was our mistake. Perhaps we should have let species make their own choices, even if those choices led to destruction. Hanul's galaxy eyes fixed on him. What would you do, Taman? If you had the power to prevent war, to stop suffering, but only through force, would you use it? Before Taman could answer, his communicator buzzed. Mirai's signal. Time to move. He activated the EMP grenade and threw it toward the warehouse where the Vyrath soldiers were searching. The device arced through the air and landed with a soft click. Then the world went electric blue. Run, Taman said. They ran. Hanul moved faster than Taman would have believed possible. The dragon's claws tore up Earth, its wings spread for balance. Taman sprinted behind, his lungs burning, his legs screaming. The ship was 100 meters away, 70, 50, shouts behind them. The Vyrath soldiers had recovered faster than expected. Weapons fire cracked through the air. Energy bolts sizzled past Taman's head. Hanul spun, and for a moment Taman thought the dragon would attack. But instead, Hanul's wings swept out and created a wall of displaced air. The energy bolts scattered harmlessly. Then the dragon was moving again, pushing Taman toward the ship. The cargo ramp was down. Mirai stood in the cockpit door, waving frantically. Taman dove through the opening. Hanul followed, barely squeezing through the cargo bay entrance. The dragon's scales scraped against metal with a sound like tearing stars. Go, 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 Taman shouted. The ship lurched upward. The ramp was still closing as they shot into the sky. Taman tumbled across the cargo bay floor. Hanul's tail smashed into a container, sending spare parts flying. Then they were through the atmosphere, the planet falling away below them, and Vyrath fighters were already launching in pursuit. Mirai's voice came through the intercom, calm despite everything. Strap in. This is going to get rough. The cargo ship shuddered as another plasma bolt struck the rear shields. Alarm screamed. Mirai cursed and pulled the ship into a spin that made Taman's stomach revolt. Through the viewport, he could see 6 Vyrath fighters closing in, their weapons glowing with deadly intent. They're boxing us in, Mirai shouted over the noise. I can't outrun them forever. Head for the asteroid belt, Taman called back. We can lose them in the rocks, or we can get smashed into paste. Either option is on the table right now. Hanul lay in the cargo bay, the dragon's eyes closed. Taman could feel exhaustion pouring through their bond. The brief run to the ship had drained what little strength Hanul had recovered. But there was something else too. The dragon's presence in his mind was expanding, reaching out beyond the ship. Hanul, what are you doing? Calling, the dragon said simply. Calling who? Everyone. Then Taman felt it. A pulse of energy that rippled out from Hanul like a wave spreading across a pond. It wasn't physical. It was something deeper. A psychic shout that traveled faster than light, spreading across the galaxy in every direction. The last star dragon was awake, and the galaxy was listening. They lost the Vyrath fighters in the asteroid belt, but only barely. Mirai's piloting skills were the only thing that kept them alive. She threaded the ship through gaps that shouldn't have existed, rode gravity wells like a surfer on Earth's ancient oceans, and somehow brought them out the other side intact. They found refuge on a mining station orbiting a dead moon. The station was old and barely functional, surviving on the edge of colonial space by processing asteroids that no legitimate company wanted. The kind of place where people didn't ask questions as long as you paid in credit chips. Mirai docked the ship in an abandoned bay and paid the station manager enough to ensure his silence. Then she, Taman, and Hanul sealed themselves inside the cargo bay and tried to figure out what to do next. We can't run forever, Mirai said. She was checking the ship's systems, cataloging the damage. The Vyrath will track us eventually. And even if they don't, we need fuel, food, and supplies. We're not equipped for a long journey. Where would we even go? Taman asked. He sat with his back against a cargo container, exhaustion making his limbs feel like lead. There's nowhere in human space that would protect us from the Vyrath. Then we leave human space, Hanul said. The dragon had its eyes open now, watching them. We find allies among the other species. What other species? The Vyrath control half the galaxy. The rest are too afraid to oppose them. They are afraid because they remember what the Vyrath did to achieve power. They remember the purges, the conquered worlds, the species that vanished from history. But they also remember the star dragons. My kind inspired hope once. Perhaps they can again. Mirai looked skeptical. You're one dragon. One very weak dragon. No offense. None taken. You speak the truth. Hanul's gaze turned distant. But my call has been heard. Across the galaxy, those who remember the old times are stirring. Some will come out of curiosity, others out of hope, and some, the dragon's voice grew darker, will come to make certain I never rise to power again. Over the next 3 days, they monitored communication channels and news feeds. The Vyrath had locked down Nakri 7 completely. The official story was that terrorists had attempted to steal classified technology. Anyone who challenged this story found themselves arrested or disappeared. But there were other stories. Whispers on encrypted channels. Strange ships appearing at the edges of known space. Ancient species that hadn't been seen in centuries were sending probes, scouts, and observers. Everyone wanted to know if the rumors were true. Had a star dragon really awakened? On the 4th day, human ships arrived at the mining station. Not Vyrath ships. Human military vessels from the Colonial Defense Force. 3 cruisers and a battleship, flying the flag of humanity's outer territories. They surrounded the station and sent a transmission demanding that Taman surrender himself immediately. They found us, Mirai said, her hands already moving over the pilot controls. We need to run. Wait. Taman stared at the lead ship's identification. CDF Righteous Dawn. His heart sank. I know that ship. My sister is the captain. Your sister? Sora. We haven't spoken in 3 years. Not since the incident that killed his research team. Sora had wanted him to accept a position with the military, to use his skills for colonial defense. He had refused, wanting to pursue pure research instead. The argument had destroyed their relationship. A new transmission came through, this one on a private channel that only Taman would know. His sister's face appeared on the screen. She looked older than he remembered, harder. Taman, she said, I know you're on that station. The Vyrath have marked you as a terrorist and demanded we turn you over. But before I make that decision, I want to hear your side of the story. You have 1 hour to contact me. After that, I'm sending troops to search every ship on this station. The transmission ended. Your sister seems lovely, Mirai said dryly. Taman stood and paced the cargo bay. Through his bond with Hanul, he could feel the dragon's curiosity. She's doing her duty. The Colonial Defense Force has to maintain good relations with the Vyrath. If they think we're harboring a threat, I am a threat, Hanul interrupted. Let us not pretend otherwise. The question is whether I am a threat to the right people. Taman made a decision. I'm going to talk to her alone. Bad idea, Mirai said. Terrible idea, Hanul agreed. Maybe, but she's my sister. She deserves the truth. He looked at the dragon. Besides, if humans are going to be caught up in this, they should know what they're dealing with. Better they hear it from me than from Vyrath propaganda. He took a small shuttle across to the Righteous Dawn. They could have arrested him immediately, but Sora kept her word. She met him in a private conference room, just the two of them. She looked him over carefully. You look terrible. It's been a rough week. The Vyrath say you unleashed an ancient weapon, that you're working with terrorists to destabilize the sector. She paused. Are they lying? Yes and no. I did wake something ancient, but it's not a weapon. It's a person. He told her everything, about finding the cave, about Hanul, about the star dragons and the true history of the galaxy. He expected her to call security, to have him arrested as insane. Instead, she listened in silence until he finished. Prove it, she said. What? Prove there's a dragon. Show me. So he did. He led her back to the mining station, to the cargo bay where Hanul waited. Sora stopped in the doorway when she saw the dragon, her hand dropping to her weapon. But she didn't draw it. Hanul regarded her with those galaxy eyes. You are the sister. You care for him even though you are angry at him. Sora's jaw tightened. Can it read minds? We're connected, Taman explained. Hanul can sense some of what I feel. And I can sense the dragon's thoughts too. This is impossible. 6 months ago, I watched my entire research team burn to death. I learned that impossible just means you don't understand it yet. Sora holstered her weapon. She walked closer to Hanul, studying the dragon like a tactical problem to be solved. The Vyrath want this creature dead. They've threatened to blockade all human colonies if we don't hand it over. They say it's an extinction-level threat. They're right, Hanul said. I could destroy their civilization if I wished. Burn their worlds. Scatter their fleets like leaves. But I do not wish this. I simply wish to exist. And if you change your mind, then your species will need to decide whether to stand with me or against me. The same choice every species in this galaxy will need to make. Sora looked at Taman. This is bigger than us. Bigger than anything humanity has dealt with before. I know. The Vyrath will come. Not just the ships in this sector. They'll send their full military power. And they'll make an example of anyone who helps you. I know that too. His sister was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded as if making a decision. I need to speak with Admiral Deho. He commands the Outer Fleet. If we're going to do this, we need to do it properly. Do what properly? What humans do best. Make a stand in the face of overwhelming odds and see what happens. She smiled, and for a moment, she looked like the sister he remembered from childhood. Besides, the Vyrath have been pushing us around for too long. Maybe it's time we pushed back. Over the next week, the mining station became a gathering point. More human ships arrived. Officers and crew members who believed in Admiral Deho's vision of human independence. They came quietly, carefully, trying not to alert Vyrath surveillance. But others came too. Alien ships from species Taman had never heard of. Old civilizations that remembered the star dragons and wanted to see if the legends were true. Some came in peace. Others came with weapons ready. The galaxy was converging on their location, and somewhere out there, beyond the range of their sensors, the Vyrath were gathering their own forces. The hunt was over. The war was about to begin. The Vyrath fleet arrived like a storm made of metal and fury. 200 ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system, their weapons already charging. Admiral Deho's human forces numbered 37 ships. The aliens who had come to witness the Star Dragon added another 20 vessels of varying size and capability. They were outnumbered 4-1. Commander Velroth's face appeared on every screen in the system. The Vyrath commander was tall and thin, with skin that shifted through shades of gray and eyes that saw in spectrums humans couldn't perceive. Attention all vessels, Velroth said, his voice flat and emotionless. You are harboring a Class 1 extinction threat. Surrender the creature known as Hanul immediately. Those who comply will be spared. Those who resist will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to decide. The transmission ended. On the bridge of the Righteous Dawn, Sora stood with her officers and watched the tactical display. The Vyrath formation was perfect, closing off every escape route. Her ship's weapons officer was pale. Her navigator looked like he might be sick. Orders, Captain? Her first officer asked quietly. Sora thought about her brother down in the cargo bay with that impossible dragon. She thought about her duty to humanity, to the lives under her command. She thought about what it meant to stand up to bullies even when they were bigger and stronger. All hands to battle stations, she said. Power up weapons. Prepare for combat. Captain, they'll destroy us. Probably, but let's make them work for it. In the cargo bay, Taman pressed his hand against Hanul's side. Through their bond, he could feel the dragon's strength returning. Days of absorbing radiation from the station's power core had helped, but Hanul was still far from full power. You should go, Hanul said. Get on a ship heading away from here. Our bond has stretched enough that you could survive a few light years of distance now. I'm not leaving. Your sister is about to die for me. Your entire species is putting itself at risk. For what? For a relic from a dead age? For the principle that might doesn't make right? For the idea that the Vyrath don't get to decide who lives and who dies? Taman met those galaxy eyes. Besides, you're my friend now. Friends don't abandon each other. I am 3 million years old. I have destroyed civilizations. I am not your friend. I am barely even your ally. Then you're a really terrible 3-million-year-old because you've been protecting me since the moment we met. You could have killed me in that cave. You could have left me behind during the escape. You could have let those Vyrath soldiers shoot me, but you didn't. So either admit we're friends or stop pretending you're some kind of heartless cosmic judge. Hanul's laughter echoed in his mind. You are the strangest human I have ever met, and I have met billions of them in my dreams. I'll take that as a compliment. The dragon stood, wings unfurling until they scraped the cargo bay ceiling. Very well. If we are friends, then I suppose I should stop letting your species fight my battles. It is time for the last star dragon to fly. The cargo bay doors opened. Hanul leaped into space. The dragon's transformation was immediate and stunning. In the cold vacuum, without atmosphere to dim its light, Hanul became a creature of pure stellar radiance. Its scales burned with the light of 1,000 suns. Its wings spread wide enough to cast shadows on ships kilometers away. And when Hanul roared, The sound was transmitted not through air but through the psychic bond that connected all living things. Every sensor in the system went wild. Every person, human and alien alike, stopped and stared. The Vyrath fleet hesitated. Just for a moment. Just long enough for doubt to creep in. Velroth's voice came through the communications again, but now there was an edge to it. Fear. All ships. Attack pattern Omega. Focus fire on the Dragon. Kill it before it reaches full strength. The first wave of Vyrath ships opened fire. Hanel flew directly into the barrage. Energy weapons that could vaporize asteroids struck the Dragon's scales and scattered like light through a prism. Missiles exploded harmlessly against its wings. Physical projectiles simply vanished, consumed by the intense energy field surrounding Hanel's body. The Dragon reached the first line of Vyrath ships and flew through them, not attacking, not destroying, simply passing through their formation like a ghost through walls. But everywhere Hanel passed, ships went dark. Their power cores shut down. Their weapons stopped firing. Their life support flickered. "It's draining them," Admiral Deho said from his command ship, watching in amazement. "The Dragon is feeding on their energy." Taman felt it through their bond. Hanel was absorbing the power from every weapon fired at it, from every ship's reactor, from the very electromagnetic fields that held the Vyrath fleet together, growing stronger with every second. This was what a star dragon at war looked like. This was the power that had terrified the galaxy 2 million years ago. Velroth's fleet broke formation. Ships scattered, trying to put distance between themselves and the Dragon. But Hanel was faster. The Dragon moved through space like thought made real, appearing beside ships before they could react. And then, just when everyone expected Hanel to start destroying the Vyrath fleet, the Dragon stopped. Hanel hovered in the center of the battlefield, wings spread wide, and spoke. Not through transmissions, but directly into every mind within 10 light seconds. "Velroth, your ancestors imprisoned me. They destroyed my kind. They built an empire on our genocide. By the old laws, by the authority granted to the star dragons by the first concordance, I have the right to judge your species, to limit your expansion, to sterilize your worlds." The entire system was silent, waiting. "But I will not." Taman felt surprise ripple through the psychic bond. That wasn't what Hanel had planned to say. Something had changed in the Dragon's mind at the last moment. "The old laws are dead," Hanel continued. "The concordance is dead. The age of Star Dragon authority is dead. I am the last of my kind, and I choose to be the last of a dead way of thinking." The Dragon turned to face the Vyrath fleet directly. "You fear me because you remember what my kind could do, what we did do. And you are right to fear that. But I am tired of fear. I am tired of judgment. I am tired of being a force that limits what species can become." Hanel's wings pulsed with light. "So I make a new law. The only law I will enforce. Any species that tries to control another through force, that tries to become what the Vyrath are now, will find me opposing them. Not as a judge, not as a god, but as an obstacle. A reminder that no empire lasts forever. No species rules eternally." The Dragon flew closer to Velroth's command ship. "Leave this system. Tell your consortium that the last star dragon has awakened. Tell them I will not allow them to kill every human in this sector just to eliminate me. Tell them that if they want war, they will have it. But tell them also that I offer peace. I will not seek revenge for what your ancestors did to mine. I will not punish your species for their crimes. I ask only to be left alone, to explore this galaxy that has changed so much in my absence." Velroth's response was slow in coming. When it did, his voice was strained. "How do we know you will keep this promise? How do we know you won't judge us as your kind judged species before?" "You don't," Hanel said simply. "You will have to trust me, the same way I must trust that you will not try to imprison me again. We are both taking a risk, but that is what peace requires. Risk, faith, the courage to believe that tomorrow can be different from yesterday." Through their bond, Taman felt the weight of Hanel's decision. This wasn't easy for the Dragon. Every instinct, every memory, every lesson learned across millions of years told Hanel to strike first, to judge now, to eliminate threats before they could grow. But Hanel was choosing differently, choosing to believe that change was possible. Minutes passed. Then Velroth's fleet began to pull back, slowly, carefully. Ships reactivated their power cores and retreated to the edge of the system. The commander's final transmission was brief. The consortium will hear your terms. But know this, Dragon. We will be watching. If you break your word, if you threaten any Vyrath world, we will return with forces that will crack stars themselves. I expect nothing less, Hanel replied. The Vyrath fleet jumped to hyperspace and was gone. Taman found Sora on the bridge of the Righteous Dawn. His sister was staring at the empty space where 200 enemy ships had been moments before, looking like she couldn't quite believe they had survived. We didn't fire a single shot, she said quietly. We were ready to die, and we didn't even get to fight. Sometimes the best battles are the ones you win without fighting. Did we win? Or did that dragon just make us all targets for whatever the Vyrath do next? I don't know, Taman admitted. But at least we're alive to find out. Over the next days, the ships that had gathered to witness the confrontation slowly departed. Some of the alien species wanted to establish contact with Hanul, to learn from the dragon. Others simply wanted to tell their people that the legends were true. Humanity had survived its first major confrontation with the Vyrath, not through military might, but by standing beside something the Vyrath feared. Admiral Deho called it a diplomatic victory. The colonies called it a miracle. Taman called it exhausting. On the 5th day after the battle, he stood in the cargo bay with Hanul and Mirai. The dragon was preparing to leave, to begin exploring the galaxy that had grown up in its absence. You could come with me, Hanul said. Both of you. See wonders that your species has never imagined. Mirai smiled. I'm tempted. But someone needs to tell this story the right way. Make sure the history books get it correct this time. What about you? Hanul asked Taman. He thought about it. About traveling the galaxy with an ancient dragon. About running away from his past, from his guilt, from the memories that still haunted him. It would be easy to say yes. I think I need to stay, he said finally. My sister and I have a lot to talk about. And there's work to do here. The Vyrath might have backed down, but they're still out there. Still powerful. Humanity needs people who understand what we're really dealing with. You have changed, Hanul observed. When we met, you wanted nothing more than to die. Now you have found purpose again. You gave that to me. You reminded me that there are things worth fighting for, worth living for. The dragon lowered its massive head until it was level with Taman's. You reminded me of something too, that I do not have to be what I was, that even a creature 3 million years old can choose a different path. One galaxy eye winked. Thank you, my strange human friend. Their bond was strong enough now that it wouldn't break over distance. Taman would always carry a piece of Hanul with him, and the dragon would carry a piece of him. They would never be truly separate again. Hanul spread its wings and launched into space. The dragon circled the station once, then accelerated toward the distant stars. Taman and Mirai watched from the viewport until Hanul was just another point of light against the infinite darkness. Think we'll see it again? Mirai asked. I know we will, Taman said. He could feel it through their bond. Hanul's joy at flying free, at seeing new worlds, at being alive in a galaxy that had grown so strange and wonderful. Dragons don't just disappear. They become legends, and legends always come back when you need them most. Sora appeared in the doorway behind them. Admiral Deho wants to see you. Both of you. Something about forming a new department to study ancient civilizations and their relationship to modern galactic politics. She looked at Taman. He wants you to lead it. Me? I'm the archaeologist who caused all of this. Exactly. You found a sleeping dragon and convinced it not to destroy us. Apparently that qualifies as job experience now. Taman looked at Mirai, who shrugged. I'm in if you are. Someone has to keep you from making more reckless decisions. They weren't reckless, Taman protested. They were necessary. Same thing, different words. He laughed. It felt good to laugh again. To feel something other than guilt and grief. To have purpose and friends in a future that didn't look like nothing but darkness. Far away, in the space between stars, Hanul felt Taman's laughter through their bond and was pleased. The last star dragon had made the right choice. Not the easy choice, not the choice that honored the old ways, but the right choice for this new age. The galaxy was vast and strange and full of species trying to find their way, and now somewhere among them, a human and a dragon would help make sure that no one ever decided they had the right to rule over all the others. It wasn't much, but it was a start. And sometimes a start is all you need.